As a Black architect, architecture really does go beyond more conventional building. You're also constructing relationships between people to make the space that you're allowed to build in, that you can dream to build in. In the 1930s, 1940s, the Hill District in Pittsburgh was really vibrant. But towards the end of the 50s, the town council of Pittsburgh decided this was really valuable land. So they declared the area blighted, which meant that it was a slum that should be torn down to make space for a civic center. In the 1960s, something like 100 acres, 413 businesses, 8,000 people were moved out of the Lower Hill District. They took down the Civic Center in 2012. So right now, if you go to Pittsburgh and look at the bottom of the Hill District, you will see the scar where they cleared all these buildings and all these businesses back in the 50s that essentially became parking lots. People had been hopeful of having the government build back into the community, but when that didn't happen, you had protests in 1969. People were really concerned about building and making their own interventions, raising their own funds, making people aware of things that were going on in the neighborhood. This is a picture of Troy West, who was an architect practicing in Pittsburgh in the 1970s when this picture was taken. His colleagues were looking at a project that was designed for a street called Our Way. This picture really inspired me because it was a moment after the protest when people are saying, okay, we're going to make some architecture here and it's going to be a benefit to the community and it's going to be done our way. The project that I've worked on is called Fabricating Networks, Transmissions and Receptions from Pittsburgh's Hill District. Computational textiles are embedded with sensors, microcontrollers, and other types of programming to allow a textile to respond. As a visitor walks around the piece, they hear sounds of different electromagnetic waves captured in MoMA's galleries. These are all wavelengths that are invisible, but the antenna can pick up this sound. Then there's a quilt that uses sound as well. You touch the panel and you can hear the story of this photograph from the history of the Hill District. This is a picture of one of these many empty sites after the huge clearing out for the Civic Center. I want to take this quilt to the community so they can put their own photographs in and we can hear their stories. Really, the work is about bringing people together in conversation. The original inspiration comes from handicraft and translating that into architecture. For me, a large part of being a kid was learning how to sew my own clothes, being able to fashion things the way that I wanted them to be. That was self-actualizing. I found that building is expansive and that there are many different ways of constructing something. I can make buildings with textiles that I can lift with my own body, that I can make with my own body. For me, the textile was a source of liberation. One of the most important things emerging from the history of the Hill District was networking as a source of resistance and providing mutual aid as a source of resistance against things like the Civic Center. Mutual aid and collaboration is hugely important because none of these things could be made alone. They all use skills and expertise and embodied knowledge. The same thing was important for enslaved people in the United States. We would not be here, Black people would not be here today if we did not band together to help each other survive. I think liberation could happen in architecture for many people by imagining, dreaming, and pushing through ideas that maybe traditionally they don't see in architecture. A dream is a built thing. It is a real thing. And it's important to be able to do that, to actualize yourself in the world.